Hey everybody, welcome to Cali Girl Blog Talk. I'm Callie. Thank you for joining me. And today I'll be reviewing Love and Marriage in Huntsville, Season 5, Episode 7, Don't Call It a Comeback. All right, so we start off with Mel. She says she's in a place where it's time for her to take some new pictures, for her skincare line. She said it's all about marketing. So she contacted Stormy, who she called the marketing guru, to help her with some ideas and get some, good photos for her products. And it's interesting that they're showing this because currently online, there's a little bit of chatter and talk about how people believe Stormy is hating on Mel for having a product line or what have you, skincare line, what have you, hair care line, what have you. But it looks like in this situation, she's actually helping her. But that's just a little tidbit on a side note. Anyway. So they're talking about recent wins. Turns out that Stormy got 1,000 more doors for Target. So it looks like her products will be placed, Canvas Beauty will be placed in 1,000 more Target stores. That's really great. I like her products. I really do. I use them myself and I have no complaints thus far. So Stormy lets Melody know that Destiny stopped by her warehouse, and Melody said, oh, after, the Madani event, and Stormy said, yeah. And she said, it went, okay. She said she feels like they were able to reach some type of resolution since the incident at Galentine's. Melody said, okay, so are you guys good, or is everything okay? And Stormy said, well, you know what? I think things are cool enough to whereas I don't have no beef with her. We don't have no beef, but at the same time, I can't really see myself like being friends with her, like inviting her into my friend circle. That I can understand. Just because you don't have beef or a problem with somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that y'all gonna be kicking it and hanging out, on a regular basis like good girlfriends. It just don't work like that with everybody. But I can have a respect for you, be cordial. I could be, hey girl, hey. She said she don't want it to whereas, she brings a gift, she's getting a cold shoulder. She don't want that type of situation existing, but just cool enough, basically. In her confessional, Mel said, you know what? Stormy and Destiny rectifying their situation, I'm good with that because that's something that I advocated for in the first place. They don't know each other at all to have beef. So them rectifying their issues, she said that's good. So next, Stormy moves on to let Mel know that she met up with Tiffany, right? So basically it seems like she's just, bringing Mel up to speed since they last saw each other at Madani, right? So she said Tiffany came over and the conversation led up to what happened at Madani because Tiffany was not at the reline. She said, and apparently according to Tiffany, Destiny believes that Mel just made a beeline to Wanda. And she said, I told her that's not true. Wanda tried to hit Mel from the back. She said, because everything changes when you then want to be hands-on, like you want to put your hands on somebody. And Mel was like, exactly, because before that we were just talking. But when she came around that table and acting like she wanted to hit me and all that type of stuff, that changed everything. I can see that. It would for me. Mel said, well, I sure hope Tiffany got the right recap, honey, about what happened. And Stormy said, well, she got both versions. In her confessional, Mel said, me hearing that Destiny is giving her version, well, to her, she hasn't had the best judgment anyway. And the fact that she has a problem with Mel and, spreading the word that she's the one that started the fight, she's not surprised. She let Stormy know that her and Martell have decided to bring the group back together, the original 6, to have a sit down and discuss how they feel going forward when it comes to Wanda. Mel said, in all these years, Martell, Marceau, and Maurice have never came to blows, ever, but everybody want to say that, Mel got issues with everybody. No, people got issues with Mel. She said, no, Mel be minding her business and y'all be saying what you're saying on social media and I'm going to let it slide a few times, but then after a while, I'm going to check you. Rightfully so. Next, we see Tiffany. She's on a conference call having a meeting about eyewear and minorities. She said that minorities have been excluded when it comes to eyewear for Black faces, I guess shapes, bone structure. So they're doing a lot of clinical research to create eyewear that is inclusive for Black people. My bad. She didn't say specifically Blacks. She said minorities. Okay. Just wanted to be clear on that. So her meeting ends and her hubby, Louis, Lewis stops by, my bad. So they all smiles, kissing, hugging, giving each other a warm greeting, what have you. So he takes a seat and she says, well, you got here just in time because a few minutes before you got here, I got a message for her appointment at the OBGYN. Honey, his whole face changed. Is that what this is leading up to? I said, oh, her whole face changed too. It went from sugar to shh, just like that. So anyway, he said, is that what this is leading up to? Baby talk? And she said, for real, I don't want this to be a forced conversation because yes, I know when we got married, we came into this relationship saying that we don't want any more kids. However, she changed her mind. She said, I own it. I own it. And he's looking like, I don't care who owns it. That's not the point. Doesn't matter. He's just listening, and she continues and says, you know what? So I'm going to make an appointment. I'm going to have my IUD taken out. It can be for 6 months. It could be permanently. Which one would you like? Because you do have options. He brought up the therapy session that they had, but then turned around and left and said, you know, Dr. Francis made mention of, you know, you putting your career before your family. It's going to be a lot. Now he's smiling, but I do believe he's serious. Like, I'm smiling, but I'm not joking. Don't misunderstand. She starts mocking Dr. Francis, talking about, oh, you talking about you having a baby. You're so busy. You're so busy. She says she thinks that's over planning. Looking at the reality of your current situation, I don't believe that that is over planning. I think that's being realistic. I think that's being logical. There's nothing wrong with planning, especially when you're making a decision that sort of uproots the prior decision that you made. Things are changing, so you have to look at what's going on in your life because your life will in fact be impacted by this decision. She continues with her reasoning and says, you know, she didn't plan on being a mom the first time. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of things people didn't plan on doing the first time around. So the second time around, they apply a little bit more thought to the process. Anyway, she said, I'm not going to slow down. I don't want you to think that I'm going to be one of those moms that just sit down and just slow down. She said, so my plan is to put a cap on this thing. I'm going to have the IUD taken out. If nothing happens by a certain date, I'm going to put it back in and we're not going to have this conversation again. I said, she is making a lot of plans. She's doing a lot of telling him instead of saying, what do you think? How about? What's your thought? How do you feel? But she's put a lot of thought into what she plans to do. However, he said at the end of the day, however it comes out, it's between them and God. She said, so that's a go. He said, yes, let's go for it. Okay, that's good. It sure wasn't going to work if he continued to have the reservations that he displayed prior, as far as not wanting a child right now. Everybody's busy. Nobody wants to slow down. She just said she ain't going to slow down. But hey, you know what? We all say one thing, and when the baby gets here, it's like, whoa, I thought I wasn't going to slow down. You're going to have to slow down some. I mean, that's just a given, child. But good for them. I wish them the best. She said, and you get to have some fun too, because remember last season, he was sort of hinting of being neglected in the bedroom, not getting it in as often as he would like. And so she was like, so now you're going to have 6 months worth of unlimited fun and pleasure. He was like, 6 months? I'm looking for it to be longer than that. But yeah, 6 months. We'll start with that. So next we see the Scotts. Both Scotts, okay, Maurice and Kimmy, as well as Tisha and Marceau, they are getting ready for the comeback group meeting / dinner. Everybody is looking dapper. The guys are looking dapper. The women are looking beautiful, okay? In the car, Maurice said, okay, here we go. The comeback group meeting. Kimmy said, who said it was a comeback group meeting? No, she ain't ready to come back. She like, ain't nobody going back to that. That's a no. She said, I believe that it's going to be about some other things. And he was like what? The ground rules of, you know, how we're going to engage, you know, not fight anymore, what have you. And she said, I believe it's going to be about Wanda. In the car with Marceau and Tisha, she's kind of concerned, like, so what is the expectation of this dinner? Marceau is like, I don't know. I didn't call the dinner. Martell did. I don't have an agenda. I'm just expecting not to lose my cool, not to lose my head. She's like, I'm not either. I'm gonna have a drink and be cute. Back with Maurice and Kimmy, he said, you know what? They said, we've been friends for a long time. Maurice said, yeah, you know, it's been outside influences that has been causing a rift, and it's just been escalating. Kimmy's assessment is a lot of people in the group can easily throw a jab, but they cannot take a jab. Like quick to say, oh, what I said, that was just a little shade. But when you get a little bit of shade thrown back at you, you can't take it. Marie said it feels like a tree instead of a little shade. Marceau asked Tisha, how do you feel, about seeing Mel? And so Tisha said, the last time I saw Mel, she was all in my mama's face. I was like, hold up. Yo, mama came around that table and was all in Mel's face. Okay, maybe by the time you came out, you didn't know all that, but that's exactly what happened. She said, so maybe I need to call my mama and get an update, get her side of the story to find out exactly what happened. In her confessional, she said she didn't see it happen from the beginning. She was inside trying to calm down Destiny or what have you. Marceau said, but you were there. And she said, no, I wasn't. I wasn't there at the beginning. I came in the middle. I guess I came when it was heated. He said, oh, okay. So who you going to believe, your mama or your own eyes? Marceau be telling the truth when it comes to Wanda. He don't be pulling no punches. He said, I get it, Sometimes your eyes can be deceiving, okay? But of course, your mama won't never lie. She said, that's right. I was like, ooh, did you say that and sit in it like you was standing on it? Girl, that's why you guys are having the meeting today. Next, we see Mel. She getting her hair laid. She got her dress picked out. She's in the car on the way. She calls Martell. He over here color coordinating, matching up shoes with the tie and the suit. She was like, so are you ready? And he was like, yeah, I'm ready. I know that we're divorced, but tonight is going to be a united front because I called this meeting on behalf of Melody and Martell and our children. He said, I'm just trying to figure out, going forward, what is it? Do you think that you're trying to be friends? Because it's a little bit deeper than Wanda, She said, I think, removing Wanda from the equation will also remove some of the tension between us. However, being friends, it's a no for me. She said, this is a business meeting, not a bunch of hee ha ha. Okay, that's not what it is for me. Strictly business. Get a little bit of straightening. That's all this is about. In her confessional, she says she hopes that Tisha is genuinely open to having a discussion about Wanda. She said, because for someone to take another person's most vulnerable and precious piece of them, for example, their children, and try to use that or use them as a way to attack that person, it's just unacceptable. Back in the car with Tisha and Marceau, Tisha calls her mom. Okay, so she got Wanda on speakerphone. Tisha let her know that they're on their way to having a meeting with everybody. And she wanted to get Wanda's side of the story. And she asked, was this whole situation about the fact that you were talking about their kids? So Wanda said, okay, what happened was I went live and I made a statement about when Melody was on Carlos King's show talking about how Tisha's father was in her DM, right? She said, so she was like, so you want to talk about my baby daddy? Let's talk about that last child. Here go Tisha. Okay, so you didn't say the baby's name. Well, we all know who the last child is. Sugar Mama. Everybody know that. I'm like, Tisha, I know you're not about to walk into this meeting with the justification of, well, my mama never said the baby's name, as though you guys and us, the viewers, don't know that the last child is Sugar Mama. Like, what is you standing on? Bullshit. As usual. Marceau said, well, it is what it is. I think they might be rephrasing the argument. I don't know who he's referring to with they. However, Tisha said, yeah, because Mel likes to play with words. I'm like, play with words? You like to play with words. That's why you said, so you didn't say the child's name, okay? You like to play with words. But that's not going to work. Stand on it if you want to, but you're standing on sinking sand. That's not going to work. So they get to the restaurant first. So she's like, okay, so what do you expect? What do you want to come out of this meeting? He was like, I want to be full. I love their ribs and their wedge salad. That's what I'm on. And she was like, okay, wait a minute now. You don't have no expectations, no desires, whatever. He was like, look, I'm just here. She said, but you're always saying you don't want to fight. And he was like, look, that last situation that happened at Madani, that's the side of me that I like to temper. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, yeah, I've never seen you that mad before. It scared me, right? She said, I was like, who is this Marceau? Who is this? And he was like, well, to be honest, I like to sit back and say that's not me, but honestly, that is me. That's a part of me. And honestly, I'm a dangerous man. I'm like, what? Okay, so now you're letting us know that you are a dangerous man. So are you putting everybody on notice, Marceau? So Kimmy and Maurice arrive. So, they take a seat and Kimmy is like, I feel like I'm in the principal's office. My curiosity is piqued. Just then Martell and Melody walk in. Everybody's hugging, kissing, greeting, being cordial in the greeting, right? Good. However, let's get this thing started. Martell is being gentlemanlike. Okay, he's pulling out the chair for Melody before she takes a seat. And I'm like, why would you guys expect him to do anything different? I mean, that is what a gentleman does, right? They came together. It's his ex-wife. They not funking. Why would she have to pull out her own chair? It's just that Southern hospitality. However, Maurice has to make it a point in the confessional and says to see Martell pull out the chair for Mel, make it look like they're a couple again. Stop it. In his confessional, Marceau said, what I want tonight from this meeting is a bunch of no's. No name calling, no fighting, no drama, none of that. Kimmy says, so we kind of feel like, we're waiting for you guys. Like, what is this about? What's the elephant in the room, right? Martell went on and said, well, this is about the situation that happened at Madani, and I think we all need to talk about it because I think we all played a part in it. I'd say all with the exception of Kimmy. He continued and said, so, I figured it'd be good for us to break bread and, talk about it like the grown-ups that we are. Have a discussion. And Tisha said, so you want to start the discussion? He said, your mama needs to go. Let's start there. Your mama needs to go. She sort of mid-rolls her eyes to the top of her head. Maurice is looking like the emoji with the eyes bucked open like, say what? Kimmy is like, uh-oh. Marceau looks at Maurice and Mel looks at Martell with a smile on her face. He said, Tisha, I know you love your mom. I love Wanda too. He said, I didn't want to just jump into it like that, but she is what triggered everything. Tisha said, it was my mom that triggered everything. Martell said, from a standpoint of boundaries being crossed. Yeah, because she went above and beyond. Because you really can't dictate how one is going to act when it comes to their children. That's true, child. Tisha said, what happened? Martell said, from the lives that she's done, starting with the live where she was talking about our kids' hair. Marceau is shaking his head like, oh, well, yeah. He said that upset me a lot. And they flash back to the previous season where Wanda called herself giving Mel advice, right? Talking about there's somebody better for you. And Martell walks out and was like, well, if it's somebody better for her, how about we start with you talking about my kid's hair online? How about we start there? Now, see, this actually shows a pattern because Martell had to approach her last season about something she said on a live involving their children. And now here we are yet again this season. And Mel had to say something to her about doing a live discussing their children. Tisha may act like she don't see the pattern, but everybody else does. Wanda was out of line, period. Back at the dinner, he said to Tisha, I thought then, we got that squared away. We got that settled. When I had a conversation with her then, I thought she would have stopped. He said, now here we are again. She's doing lives. And I know you guys are saying that, it's aimed at Melody, Mel and her baby daddy. However, I know my children. I know who my children are. He says, so when somebody singles one of my children out and have the nerve, I'm added that part, had the nerve. But basically he said, so when someone singles out one of my children and says that they don't belong to me, now I have a problem with that. He said, children should always be off limits. Tisha said in response, I totally agree with that. Kids should be off limits. We all love our kids. Then turned around and said, so what exactly did she say in singling out one of your kids? He said, she said, that baby ain't yours. She said, well, we spoke to her on the way here and we talked to her about everything that happened at Madani, and here she go lying. She said, Wanda told her that she did not say any child's name in particular. Then now here go Tisha lying. She said she didn't say who the child was. You said, we clearly heard Wanda say, I said that last baby. Now, Tisha, why you lying? Damn, you know the show is gonna air. Marceau immediately looks at her like, wait, a minute. Wait, what? I was in the car. I heard her. She was on speakerphone. What you talking about? She didn't say. What are you saying, Tisha? She's using the justification that supposedly Martell, when he did that live with Heavenly and claimed that Mel stepped out, right? So as a result, she took that and ran with it to say that he don't know if if Sugar Mama is his or not. Tell you what, even if something like that was said, Wanda, that still does not give you a right to, again, have a who is your baby daddy campaign. It don't. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Nothing. And you sure cannot justify yet again that Tisha's grown as daddy was in Melody's DM. So, what that got to do with paternity? Nothing. Maurice is shaking his head. I don't know what he's thinking, but he's shaking his head like, no, apples and oranges, the math ain't math, and it don't make sense. It doesn't matter what you're saying. I don't know what you call yourself trying to do here, justify what your mama did in her absence, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In her confessional, Mel continued to say, Tisha, I'm gonna need you to stand on what you heard. You may not have been there in the beginning, but you heard what your mama was saying. They flash back to the situation at Madani where Wanda was, yelling to the high heavens that Martell need to get a blood test. And I mean that, she was all on it. Mel said, concerning what happened at Madani, the relaunch, that was her first time seeing Wanda since everything had happened. So she felt like that was an opportunity she was going to take to address her. And that's what I said last time when I reviewed the show, is that these people don't hang out in the same spaces necessarily if they are not filming. So they were filming. Everybody was there. So she took the opportunity to address Wanda when she saw her. Tisha jumps in and says, you know what, with you and my mom, I don't know, I guess she's defending me, but for some reason it seems like you guys go tit for tat. Mel said, no, we don't. Tisha continued to say, yes, you guys do. You said some things, she said some things, so neither one of you are innocent in this situation. She still refuses to hold her mom accountable. That's terrible. Like it's gonna kill her to say my mama was out of line. Irregardless of what happened, she was out of line for speaking on Sugar Mama the way that she did. Why can't she just cop to that? We all know it. We all see it. By you admitting it, what does that mean? That you a bad daughter? No, it means that you're honest about your mom's actions. If she get mad, she'll get over it. Mel said, Tisha, can I be honest with you? I have been very respectful to your mom for a very long time, and she has fired shots for the longest. Tisha said, but you have as well. You've been firing shots also. Mel said, there's a lot that your mom has been saying, doing lives and throwing shots and, saying a lot of stuff, and I really haven't said much of anything. She said, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Nobody said a word. Melody said, until I was on Carlos' show and I saw a video of your mom. She was talking about me, calling me, biatches, calling me hoes and things like that. Said she was a wild, loose animal. Said Mel was wild and loose in the bed. Ooh, wait, Miss Wanda, your mouth is terrible. I'm like, what did Mel do to you so much for you to talk about her with such disdain? Like, what is the problem? Here go Maurice acting like Mr. Logical. Mel, you can get her number, right? And you could have a conversation. Hey. Mel don't have to do anything like that. Talking about before nothing. She did what she did. And she did it when she did it. She don't have to play logical and level-headed with somebody who refuses to be logical and level-headed. Maurice, what are you talking about? This is not the courtroom lawyer. He continued and said, I think you guys could have had a conversation before it got this severe. I don't think it had to wait till everybody got together, because ain't nobody gonna hit nobody over the phone. Look, Maurice, people can have a phone conversation. Yes, they can. And they can have a conversation face to face. So don't make it seem as though having a face to face conversation and a confrontation is what caused the problem. Mel said, I don't have Wanda's number. And in other words, and I wasn't looking for it neither. He said, well, how, would you have addressed it? She said, how would I have addressed it? I would have addressed it the same way. I would have done the exact same thing. Call her and look for her number for what? Ain't nobody trying to be logical and reasonable. What are you talking about? It was logical for me to go and have a conversation with her. That's what was logical. What was illogical was for Wanda to walk around that table. What was illogical was for her to try to run up from behind and hit Mel when nobody seen her coming. That's what's not logical. You want to talk about a phone conversation? Have a seat. Maurice said, and I'm saying if we're going to continue to do the same thing, we're going to continue to get the exact same results. Marceau said, I actually agree with Mel's actions. I agree with her actions. Maurice sat back like, oh, whoa. Tisha said in her confessional, Marceau agreeing with Mel, that's on him, but I don't agree with it. Because according to Mel, her reasoning for approaching Wanda is because Wanda was talking about her kid, but she wasn't talking about your kid. She was talking about your baby daddy. So this is what I am going to conclude when it comes to Tisha. Tisha is very intelligent. I don't know her personally, but you can't have all them degrees and lack some level of intelligence. I know intellect and intelligence are two different things, but I do think and hope that there is some level of enough intelligence whereas you are just choosing. Okay, you're making a choice in this matter because you know damn well your mama is out of line. But you're going to continue to stand on the fact that she wasn't talking about your kids. She was talking about your baby daddy. Okay, Tisha. Well, you know what? If there's a such thing as called the boomerang effect. Okay. And it's when you throw that boomerang out there, what you throw, oh yeah, it's impactful. But while that boomerang is out there and when that sucker comes back and hit you, it's coming back like pow, and it's going to smack you harder. And it's going to have a harder impact than the one that was thrown out by you. That's just how it works. Be careful what you excuse and justify to save face. Maurice said, okay, so you agree with your actions. And Marceau said, hey, you did the exact same thing with Tiffany. Oh yeah, the rumor about Monster. Marceau said, when you approached Tiffany about what she was saying about Monster and putting that out there for everybody to know, them and us, the viewers, you approached her the same way, face to face. The only difference is Tiffany owned it, okay? She apologized, okay? That's the difference. And that's exactly what Wanda could have done. Even if she didn't apologize, Wanda could have just had a conversation and stood on whatever she was standing on, but she didn't have to come around that table. She wanted to make it physical. Therein lies the problem. Well, an additional problem. Maurice said, but I wasn't going to hit Tiffany. And Marceau said she wasn't going, referring to Mel, she wasn't going to hit Wanda. Ooh, you know, on the inside, Tisha is boiling water, baby. That Marceau is sitting here coming to the defense of Mel while she's trying to justify what her mama did to Mel. Ooh. Marceau was like, and if you remember when Maurice approached Tiffany in his confessional, Louis said, he's glad that they had the conversation prior to him having a shot, because had he had a shot, the outcome might have been different. You know what I'm saying? Marceau was like, yeah, so had Louis had that shot, Maurice, things could have went differently. So you telling me you wouldn't have hit Louis, if it would have, got to that level or what have you? And Maurice was like, no, wait, well, see, well, now, okay, well, see, what had happened was, well, I don't know, maybe, perhaps. They can't do nothing but laugh because Marceau was right. So things calmed down a little bit, and Marceau says to Mel, can I ask a question? He said, has Wanda said anything about anybody that was unprovoked, and continued to do so for a long time without anybody saying anything back? Tisha said at first, well, I don't know. Kimmy said, that'll be a yes. Like, she does say stuff without being provoked. She just comes out, she does a live, and she starts flapping the gums, running her mouth, jawsing. Then when Kimmy is like, yes, she keeps saying, that'll be yes. Tisha's like, probably so. Marceau is laying it out. Okay, he's laying it out like they are in a courtroom. He was like, yes, she has. She has come after me, Kimmy, Maurice, Martell, Mel, the Holtz kids. Mel said all last year. Kimmy actually seconded the emotion and said all last year. And she filled them in on the fact that sometimes Mel would even tell her, this is Kimmy talking, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's going to be all right. Don't go back and forth with her because that's somebody's mama. And that has been Wanda's saving grace all of this time. The fact that she is Tisha's mama. I believe that's the only reason why Mel has not confronted Wanda about these statements long before last episode. Kimmy said she felt like, hey, Wanda come for me, I'm gonna come for her. That's whatever, because that's just my life. Marceau said, I really don't know the solution. I mean, I've employed everything, that I can. Like, I don't know what else to do or suggest. He said, if this behavior from Wanda continues, I'll take whatever measures I can to rectify it. However, I don't want her around my kids because that's gonna affect them. Tisha took a sip of water on that. Maurice said, I think Wanda has been rewarded for being Wanda. Her behavior has been rewarded. I agree. It's given her longevity. It's given her a real place and a real space on the show. He said, we've all gotten some type of response, be it positive or negative, and what is rewarded gets repeated. And I agree, for those who don't come to their senses and say, you know what, I'm out of line. I was out of line. Everybody doesn't have to be told. You know within yourself when you're doing too much, right? So that's a decision that you make to cause disorder and chaos. Tisha said, so I just wanted to get a better understanding of what my mom said on the lives because I didn't hear it. She does a lot of lives and I didn't hear what she said. Marceau said, I don't even listen to nobody's lives. They be long. I don't listen to them. And Martell said, not even Mark, their brother, right? And he said, I don't even listen to Mark because I got him blocked. Kimmy jumps in and says, you know what? Speaking of Mark, looking at Maurice and Marceau, and she says, y'all's job is to control Mark as much as they want Tisha to control Wanda. Oh, interesting. I think it was a good idea that Martell called this meeting. In his confessional, Maurice said, Mark is our older brother and he's very outspoken. However, I'm not sure why on social media he has been this aggressive with his posts. And he's made different posts, talking about Mel's mom and their relationship or whatever it was, and then after he sort of put certain things out there or what have you, trying to make her look bad, then he turned around and apologized and then turned around and started posting again. What? Kimmy said, it's disrespectful. Mel said, it's very disrespectful. Maurice said, I think what started it all was the conversation that Van had on the reunion when the whole conversation about their relationship, situationship, or what have you came up. They flash back to the reunion where Carlos said, okay, so you had a relationship with Marceau and Maurice's brother Mark, and Van emphatically said, no. We were friends. We spent time together. Now, we all know that, there is a such thing as, just spending time together. It does not mean that you are together. Now, whether it was more than that, who knows? Who even cares at this point? Okay, but the fact that I guess she said that, no, it was this and not that. And then you got Marceau chiming in at the reunion. You got Martell, who was being very shady to his mother-in-law, trying to insinuate that, no, it was more than that, trying to call her out, basically. I guess Mark got offended, okay, that she didn't say that it was more than what it was. I guess he was in his feelings, child. Back at the dinner, Kimmy said, yeah, he got his feelings hurt because, Miss Van basically denied it. She was like, nah, that was a little some girl. It wasn't all that trust. Don't put more on it than what it was. It was not a relationship. It was, we kept each other company. Okay, it was a season, and that's it. Mel said, but before the reunion, there was already stuff being said. And I remember because Marceau was talking about Miss Van being caught on a tape with their brother and things like that. Just really, really bad mouthing Mel's mom. And I didn't understand why. It's interesting because coming out of the household of Tisha and Marceau, you got Wanda coming for Mel, you got Wanda coming for their kids, you got Marceau coming for Mel's mom, putting salacious stuff out there about her. It's interesting. I guess this is in regards to what Wanda refers to as the 20 women's that Martell put out there about Marceau with the whole cheating scandal and things like that. So maybe this is, that was their little, opportunities to have some get back, which is probably why Tisha continues to justify and look past what her mom does, because she probably believes that Mel is the catalyst to the whole cheating rumors that started about Marceau in the first season, right? We all know what happened. If you've been a long time viewer, you know how that went down. Okay, but everybody was throwing, shots back and forth, implying this, that, and the other. Kimmy is like, I really don't think you or Maurice really tried at all. I really don't think you tried when it comes to Mark. Then Marceau said, you know what? I don't try with Mark. I don't. Because trying with Mark and in situations like that, it only makes situations worse. Kimmy said, but how can we have this long conversation about Wanda, but then when it comes to Mark, you feel like you can't do nothing about that situation? She said, when Mark is doing the exact same thing. See, a lot of this is coming from y'all's family, y'all's household, right? And Marceau said, well, Wanda is willing to listen to some things, implying that Mark is not. I'm like, is Wanda willing to listen? Why are you guys having this dinner then? I'm just saying. I'm just asking. Mel said to Marceau, you just said she don't listen. In his confessional, Maurice said, my brother Mark is stubborn as hell, and trying to convince him and Wanda to change at their age, good luck. This is what I get irritated about, that their age thing. If you are competent enough to know what you would do with some and not do with others, I don't care nothing about your age. And as long as you live and breathing and your brain is working, you have the ability to correct what is wrong, period. Ain't got nothing to do with your age. That's something that people rely on to continue, causing chaos, right? Being a big ass, basically, right? And they want to say, well, that's just how they is. That's just how I am. I am how I am. I ain't gonna change. I'm old now. You ain't that old. You ain't that old. Kimmy said to the group, this has never happened with us before. And being that we've never gotten to this place before, she believes that it's a lot of ancillary people that, have gotten in people's ears or whatever. Mel said, in order for us to move forward, come together collectively, have camaraderie, and be able to greet each other and compliment each other and be in a good space with each other, there has to be boundaries. There has to be boundaries when it comes to social media. People can't then step away from the group, get into their own world, their own silos, and then want to do lives throwing jabs. Marceau said, let's just do our best going forward to not talk about each other on social media and try to influence those who we can influence to behave themselves when it comes to social media. In his confessional, Martell said, well, I'm gonna do my best to stay away from the negativity when it comes to social media. And if we can keep kids out of it, then this meeting was definitely a success. So they all appear to be on one accord. And I'm going to tell you, it looks good. It looks good on them. We haven't seen it in a long time with the original six. I'm not calling the comeback group, but the original six. They all cling, cheers to the future and how they plan to move forward. They're laughing, giggling, hugging, and the scene ends on a very good and positive note. All right. So this was a good episode. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button. And until next time, you all take care. Be blessed. Peace.